Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 Million by 1 Million Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. As you know, 1 Million by 1 Million is aimed to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in annual revenue and beyond, and build $1 trillion in global GDP and 10 million jobs by 2020. And how do we do that? We are basically working with a virtual incubator model. And I'll tell you more about the services of the virtual incubator as we go along in the session. But first and foremost, we are going to work today on some blue sky exercise. One of the things we try to do at these roundtables is expose you to new ideas and new trends, new opportunities, and synthesize some of these trends for you. So today we're going to do one segment that is going to be a blue sky discussion. And then we're going to work with Florine Cornianu. Did I say that right, Florine?
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry. Thank you.
Florine has a business out of Romania, and we're going to work with his business for a bit. And then the third segment is going to be our usual 1 million by 1 million segment, where we will explain to you how we work with you and answer your questions. And the public chat is available to you to discuss any of these topics. In particular, because we're going to do a blue sky exercise right away, I would like you to keep your public chat open so that we can discuss the topics and the ideas we're going to be discussing. And it's going to be a slightly longer segment because it's a somewhat more elaborate topic than we usually cover. All right. This is, by the way, our 108th roundtable, so we've been doing this for a long time, and you will have the recording of the session available in case you want to refer to it or share it with somebody afterwards. Now, if you are live tweeting the show, please use the hashtag 1M1M. And in terms of following the 1M1M accounts on Twitter, we have two accounts. My account is at Sramana, which is a very high bandwidth account, and also at 1M by 1M is a very high bandwidth account. So either of those accounts you could follow and engage with to follow our Twitter activities. And Maureen will be live tweeting from at 1M by 1M for this show as well. Okay, so the topic we're going to deal with today is Web 3.0 and social dance. Now, how many of you are familiar with my Web 3.0 framework? You can answer in chat if you like. So I will explain to you what the Web 3.0 framework is, and many of you are already familiar. And what we're going to do today is kind of play a little with that framework and see if we can design a system that's around Web 3.0 and social dance. And I'll tell you why I've chosen social dance as the topic to explain these concepts around. One is because I love dance. That's one of the reasons driving it is I know a lot about dance and dance networks and social dance and so forth. So it's, you know, I come to it with a substantial amount of domain knowledge. That's one. But the second point is perhaps even more important. You know, so far, the evolution of social media has primarily been focused on our trying to keep the users glued to the computer screen, right? If you look at what Facebook is trying to do, what other social networks are trying to do, they want to keep you glued to your computer screen. And their advertising model, advertising-based business models, and these social games, and so on and so forth, these are all mechanisms, strategies geared towards keeping you completely focused on the computer screen. And I don't like that. You know, I really don't believe that a society that is coming together, that is reconfiguring itself very heavily around the trends of technology, and particularly around the trends of social media, will be particularly healthy if we focus so much on keeping people glued to the computer all the time. People need to get out. People need to do physical activities. And when it comes to social interactions, I don't believe that interactions that are online only are sufficient. You know, human interactions are important. You need to meet people physically and connect with people physically, and these are important dynamics. So social dance as a category, or as a construct, will expose us to a lot of opportunities and needs for this kind of physical contact on an offline contact. Even if the contacts are established online, there are lots of room to explore those connections offline. So those are reasons why I've chosen social dance as the construct for this discussion. Now, there is a parallel discussion or a related discussion that I will refer to that's on the blog right now. It is being published as a multi-part series, and that's called Web 3.0 and the Argentine Tango. And it's got all sorts of cool videos, and it explores these same ideas in a lot more depth than I will be able to cover today in 15-20 minutes. But the URL is on your screen, and you're very welcome to follow along with that series and discuss those concepts as well, because it basically goes into further depth on the topics that we're going to touch on today. So that's your supporting reference material. Okay, so just to quickly recap on the Web 3.0 framework, in 2007, I proposed this framework, and I kind of synthesized this as a very crisp formula. Sounds very geeky. 4C plus P plus VS, and I said the 4 C's are context, content, commerce, community. Personalization is, P is personalization, and VS is vertical search. Now, where this thinking comes from is that, I happen to be one of those first-generation web entrepreneurs that started working on the internet at the very beginning of the evolution of the web. So my first company was started in 1994, so I've been following the web industry for a long time. And there were certain things that were happening on the web during these 15, 16 years that I've been following the industry. First and foremost, we encountered these notions of online directories, online search, and that search at the time was horizontal search. Google, for instance, is a horizontal search. And then over time, in what has come to be known as the Web 2.0 era, that was 2004 onwards, we encountered the notion of vertical search. So just as Google did horizontal search, Kayak, for instance, did vertical search, which is essentially search engine for the travel segment, and it understood all the vocabulary and the patterns of the travel industry and created a search engine focused on the travel industry. And similarly, we saw lots of different kinds of vertical search engines in real estate, in shopping, in all sorts of other segments. We've seen the evolution of vertical search. We saw content going from one-way content to bidirectional content. User-generated content was the big evolution. Lots of people started publishing blogs and comments and discussions. The web became a far more exciting place because now we were actually discussing instead of just reading content or viewing content. Commerce, of course, was one of the early phenomena. Amazon started us off on commerce, in electronic commerce, and that has evolved over time. It has become a vibrant industry, and it's hard to believe today that there was a time when we didn't even really know that if people were going to give their credit cards online to buy stuff. Then came the concept of community, which started off in the very, very early days as online forums and discussion groups, but then evolved into this immense social media phenomenon. And the first validation of that phenomenon came when MySpace got acquired by News Corp in 2005. And then, of course, the Facebook phenomenon completely swept over the world. So So these are some of the concepts that have been developing on the web, and in 2007 I felt that, okay, we've gone through multiple generations of web technologies. Now it's time to create examples or create experiences, user experiences that are far more integrated, that brings together all these different elements in context. And context becomes a very important element. What brings you to the web? What brings the user to the web? And that's what is the notion of context. Are you coming to the web to look for a hotel as you're planning a trip to Paris? That is a context that brings you to the web. So as long as you anchor the user experience around a context, all the other pieces, content, commerce, community, vertical search, should be arranged around that. And then the notion that of personalization, I want my personalized user experience, this is a notion that is out there, but even today, you know, we're sitting in 2000, at the cusp, at the beginning almost of 2012, and personalization still remains kind of an untapped, uncharted territory. We see a little bit of personalization. It's really still very minimal, not even scratching the surface. So with that framework in mind, I'm going to go through this Web 3.0 and social dancing discussion, and you will see all these concepts framed in the context of social dance. So now, just for the purpose of definitions, let's also establish what some of these social dances are. We talked about Argentine tango, foxtrot, waltz, salsa, rumba, swing, cha-cha. There are all sorts of social dances. Now, is anyone in the audience today, are any of you familiar with any of these social dances? Do you do? Yes, mambo is one, Priyanka says. Absolutely. Are you familiar with these dances? Do you have any experience of these dances, any of you? Priyanka says yes. Anybody else? So if you follow along the series on the blog, I have actually provided video clips and everything so that I suspected that the audience would not have a lot of familiarity with these social dances. So I provided video clips and everything for you to get more, more in tune with what I'm talking about, what these dances look like, what the clubs look like, and so forth. And here are some images also along with the slides. So the phenomenon of social dance, whichever dance that you want to dance, is something that there are very big subcultures around these. You know, there are lots of people who regularly go out to dance, and there are whole ecosystems around these dance networks. So the context that brings dancers to the web, or dance aficionados to the web, these are not necessarily professional dancers, they're amateur social dancers, are looking for local events. Today is Thursday, okay, Thursday night. I want to go out dancing tonight, and I would like to go dance the West Coast Swing. Well, I would go to the web and look up West Coast Swing, San Francisco Bay Area, and look for what events are happening tonight, then find a place to go out dancing. That is one of the contexts which brings dancers to the web. The other context, very popular context, is when we're traveling. When dance aficionados travel, they often like to go dancing in local communities to the destinations where they're going to. So let's say I'm going to be in Florence, Italy in March, and I would like to find some places to go dance the tango. So I would look for I would come to the web and look for information about tango dancing in Florence, and most probably what I would do is find some contacts of people who are local, dance organizers. I would communicate with them and get some information and try to arrange some meetings with dancers and go dancing. That's another popular context that brings dancers to the web. Another one is looking for teachers. Anybody who wants to learn dancing seriously has to learn from somebody. And you have to find teachers either for group lessons or private lessons. And you may be looking for partners. So there are some dance partner sites which are actually not very well done. So these are just some examples of context that would bring social dancers to the web. Content. Now, just because it's a dance form, people get up and dance. There are lots of videos out there. If you go to YouTube and start searching on some of these dance forms, you'll see loads and loads and loads of videos. And these videos are interesting because let's say you come to the web and you're looking for a good teacher that you want to work with. One of the things you would want to do is look up how this person dances. Do you like their style? Do you like the way that person teaches? You'll see a lot of teaching videos online as well. So these are ways to make the content interesting and make the content categorized properly, which today none of this exists, by the way. Today, what exists on the web from the perspective of social dancing is very haphazard. It's kind of these wild west of the principles that we have learned much better in other domains. Of course, you want schedule-related content, you want blogs. There are lots of bloggers who write about their dance experiences or their travel experiences visiting dance venues in different parts of the world. So there's actually a lot of very interesting content out there, but it's not well organized. Commerce. There is a huge ecosystem of music, videos, fashion, all sorts of merchandise that fall in the commerce category. There's also dance lessons. All these teachers basically try to market themselves and sell dance lessons. There are all sorts of clubs. You could go to different clubs in different places. New York City probably has numerous clubs. If you go to Buenos Aires for the tango, there are probably 10 to 15 clubs that you can go to each night to dance the tango. Similarly, you go to Cuba. It's got very rich dance culture. So these clubs in all parts of the world today are destinations of commerce at some level. They're both destinations of commerce and they're destinations of community, which brings us to our next element in the Web 3.0 framework. The essence of social dancing is the community. So this is very interesting because this is a community that you could create online around various different contexts. You could create local communities. You could create, communities around different styles of dancing. You could create communities around interests in specific, musicians, all sorts of things. But the real great part of the social dancing phenomenon, and this is the reason I chose to go a little bit deeper into this topic, is that this is a community that actually the essence of the community is in physical contact. So it is a community where the web is the facilitator. The actual interactions, the most meaningful interactions, happen on the dance floor. And that is a very interesting phenomenon. And this is a concept that you should think about because this concept will apply to other areas, other contexts, other domains as well. This notion of the web facilitating physical communities as opposed to virtual communities, this is something that I would venture to guess that in the next decade we will see more of, because people do want to meet people, people do want to experience human interactions in a more concrete form, in a more flesh and blood form. And the beauty of all this is the web has tremendous ability to facilitate this kind of community building, and then there are other pieces of it that can happen in reality, in physical form. Now, personalization has some interesting nuances if you put it in the context of dance. Now, the image that I have on the screen, you see everybody in that image is black. This is a very interesting image. It is from the Savoy Ballroom in the 1930s in outside in the outskirts of New York. The Savoy Ballroom used to be one of the great places, great venues for jazz. It was part of the huge jazz revival movement, and people, I mean, real serious musicians like Louis Armstrong and all sorts of Ella Fitzgerald, all these people were part of these communities, and jazz came out very largely, with some exceptions, as black music, and it was being danced and played as music in these black dance halls. Of course, today it has broadened vastly. Jazz is American music. It's quintessential American music. So there's a variety of dance genres like swing, foxtrot that draw upon the jazz music and so forth. So, so my point is that when it comes to personalization, there could be subcultures or sub-communities that you want developed for your particular purpose. And that could be based on ethnicity. It could also be based on certain specific other elements. And here's an example. I love to dance the Argentine tango, and I'm a very high-level Argentine tango dancer. And that part of it comes from the fact that I was trained as an Indian classical dancer for all the years that I lived in India. And I left India at 18 to come to college in the US. So I had a vast and deep dance background. So when I started doing social dancing, I did it as seriously as I did my classical dancing. So I became a fairly good dancer. Now, one of the phenomena in dance is that people want to share their dance experiences with other dancers who dance at the same level. You know, advanced dancers like to dance with other advanced dancers. So one of the things that I would actually pay a personal concierge for is if somebody can actually put together an advanced dance evening, let's say every week on Thursday nights, not very far from where I live. I live in Menlo Park, California. I would like this to be within 5 miles of where I live, where, you know, a dozen advanced dancers would come to dance so that I can be assured that if I go to this dance, I would be able to dance with other advanced dancers. So that is my particular need. And other dancers, other dance aficionados have similar kinds of personalized needs. And these needs could very well be met by advanced personalization, both technology and also in some cases perhaps human intervention. Priyankar is asking what style of classical dancing did I do. I did Kathak, and I did some Bharatanatyam Odissi as well. Priyankar seems to be interested in dance. That's okay. Vertical search. The last element of the Web 3.0 framework is vertical search. So in vertical search, if you look at the different contexts we've been talking about, there are all sorts of vertical search issues that we have to deal with in the context of social dancing. You may need to find partners, and by the way, partners need to be dancing at the same level. One of the examples I give in terms of finding partners as a complexity is that you have to have the same budget and willingness to invest a certain budget in lessons. If you want to dance at a certain level and you want to progress to the next level, and you want to find a partner who has the same goals and is willing to invest in those dance lessons. Dance lessons are very expensive. They range from, you know, $70 to $150 at least in the US. In different parts of the world, the pricing may vary. But dance lessons can be, private dance lessons can be very expensive. You may be looking for teachers, and you have certain criteria for teachers. You know, whether they're teaching open embrace dance or closed embrace dance, they're teaching, you know, international foxtrot or standard foxtrot, all sorts of different criteria based on which you're looking for teachers. Milongas is The tango dances are called milongas. So there are milongas happening all over the world in different cities on different days and different times. You may need to, whether it's locally or while you're traveling, you may need to find these milongas to go visit and dance at. You may want performers. You're trying to put together a dance and you want some performers. You want a salsa performer couple that you want to invite to perform at your dance, or at your evening. You may be looking for musicians. You know, if you're trying to put a very high-class evening together, you want to bring live music, which means you're going to need to find a good band that can accompany, that can hold up the evening, basically. And there are lots of these bands, lots of these musicians. But none of this exists in any organized framework. And that's kind of a problem because it also limits the ability of this community to be able to perform at high levels of commercial success. So the classic problem that exists in every art form is that artists or art aficionados tend not to necessarily be great business people. And I've seen it over and over again. And one of my interests actually is to see more business savvy infused into the arts and also technology. So innovation that can happen at the cusp of business, art, and technology. That is a very, very serious interest of mine. So that is one of the reasons that this discussion is coming at this point. If you've been following the blog throughout the year, you have seen many such discussions come up. Silicon Valley, the next decade, is a discussion where I explored the topic in great detail. There were other such discussions that have come up, and the current discussion that is going on, Web 3.0 and the Argentine Tango, also touches on similar kinds of thought processes. So that's my that's my idea about where Web 3.0 can be applied to the social dance phenomenon, and I think these are interesting opportunities and interesting ways in which to combine technology, the arts, social arts, as opposed to performance arts often, and business. The chat is open, by the way. Anyone interested in commenting or any questions, please feel free to weigh in. Tatis, for instance, is in Greece. Well, he's in UK and Greece, but he's of Greek origin. The Greeks love to dance. I've actually been to Greece and danced Greek dance in Athens and Thessaloniki and so forth. It's a part of the culture. So there are lots of cultures that have dance very nicely woven into these dances. Ken, you're asking a very generic question. There is lots of discussion on business opportunities with Web 3.0 on the blog. I would rather not answer that question right now. I'd like to keep the discussion focused on what we are talking about at the moment. Because what are the broad business opportunities with Web 3.0 is a much bigger discussion, and we don't have time for that right now. Anybody, any other thoughts? We'll just spend 1 more minute maximum on this, and then we'll move on to the next segment. Okay, looks like we don't have many more comments here. So just a quick comment on, there's a question actually. I'll take the question in just a minute. In terms of business models, my idea is actually with these kinds of concepts, you could have hybrid business models, not just advertising, not just electronic commerce, and not just subscription. You could make this into a hybrid business model where this is a franchise of dance clubs like Starbucks, or a franchise of tango clubs, or franchise of salsa clubs that has all these Web 3.0 features built into the phenomenon. And so the business models do not have to be limited to web business models. Sudhi is asking why another social platform? As opposed to what? Doing it on top of Facebook? Is that the question, Sudhi? So you're asking building these features on something like Facebook and Google+. I think that is completely open to interpretation. You could do it as a Facebook application. You could do it, but you'd need all these elements built into the experience, the user experience that you're going to create. You can even do it as you know, iPhone apps, iPad apps, all sorts of things. There are the design of choice of platform, the design and all that is open to interpretation. I'm giving you the concepts and the problems that you need to solve, so that you can tap into what are the needs of these kinds of communities. But you can get to the community through multiple different touch points and can design the user experience leveraging existing platforms as well. Yes, I'm actually completely fine with designing the whole user experience by leveraging platforms that already exist. But it needs to be a Web 3.0 user experience. That's the critical piece. Okay, folks, we're going to move on. Florin, if you could unmute your line, we're going to talk about 123 contact form. And Florin is working in Romania, and we have been in touch with an incubator in Romania that Florin is affiliated with, and Radu from the incubator brought Florin into this discussion. And one other piece of trivia there, Radu's incubator is part of the Microsoft Innovation Center network. And 1 million by 1 million was introduced into the Microsoft Innovation Center network by Microsoft. So there are multiple steps that happened before we actually got exposed to Florin, right?
Yes, it was actually a surprise to learn that much about you and your entire program. It looks pretty interesting, and I'll definitely follow up.
Okay, cool. So tell us what you're doing, and let's see how we can help you.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Florin. I am the CEO of 123 Contact Form, and that's an amazing web form and survey builder. We started in 2008. We have 100% growth rate per year. We received an angel investment in last year to sustain this growth, and we've been bootstrapping so far, and we've got a revenue of $100,000 this year. So that's pretty okay. If you could move to the next slide, please. This is a screenshot of our form builder. It's a real-time drag and drop platform. Users sign up for a free account. They start building their forms. There are multiple verticals there, like order forms, surveys, event registration forms, lots of templates, and everything is extremely user-friendly, and we spend a lot of money to rebuild everything this year. Next slide, please. Once you build your form, and you can see that in a screenshot on the left side, you can publish it on Facebook. We've got a Facebook app with 30,000 users so far. WordPress plugin, we can do it on blog posts, Google sites, lots of places. And with one click, you can integrate it with Google Spreadsheet, Salesforce, MailChimp, and lots of other applications that are coming into our pipeline. Next slide, please. As I said, we follow the freemium business model. Everybody can sign up for a free account, and once they start using the product and they need advanced features or multiple submissions or more forms, they need to upgrade. We function as a software as a service. The payments are made via subscription, monthly basis and yearly basis with discounts. We've got quite a strong competition because it's a crowded space. And the biggest one is Wufoo. It was acquired by SurveyMonkey last year for $35 million. Of course, there are more competitors, but we really think we've got an advantage on top of them. And actually, we have more. We have lots of features that differentiate us from them. But after this yearly web conference in Paris, we decided to turn around and focus on Europe and non-English speaking countries, because none of our competitors do that. They all focus on US. And we already have several country managers that we establish relations with actually around Europe, and we are definitely looking to find more. Next slide, please.
Before you go on, Soren, let me ask
Yes.
a couple of questions here. How much are you
Please.
charging for your premium program?
We have two plans: the gold plan, that is for $15 a month or 150 a year, and the platinum plan, that's $30 a month or 300 a year.
Okay. And I remember that Wufoo is a Y Combinator company that started quite a while ago, right? They started in 2006 or something like that.
Yes, you're quite right. 7 actually, but they started the concept way before that.
So, and what have you learned? You must have studied Wufoo in enough detail because they've been around for so long. What have you learned from them?
The best thing that we consider we learn from them is the way they approach the customer support issue. Big companies in US, they tend to delay customer support, like in responding 2 days or so. But Wufoo has a system which we adopted, and I think we improved it, that they try to respond under 1 hour. So they do support in the evening. They have dedicated people, and I think they even do it in the night. I'm not sure about that. But the customer support approach is very critical. And besides that, of course,
what about market? How did they go to market?
Well, actually, with Wufoo, they are quite special, to be honest, because they made such a great product from the beginning, and they had such a background with their tech blog. I don't know if you know this information. They had a blog with a lot of subscribers, like tens of thousands of subscribers, and they exposed the product, Wufoo product, to those subscribers in the beginning, and they had an extremely big adoption rate. They were profitable from the 3rd month, I think. So I didn't hear about such examples. Their biggest go-to-market approach was actually nothing. They had a big success, and they spread it through word of mouth.
So it was
the product.
The subtext of that was they were sufficiently present on the web that their search engine optimization, organic search traffic was high.
To be honest, I studied the organic search, and until they joined the SurveyMonkey, they didn't invest that much in organic search. I mean, they didn't rank high for a lot of keywords, and at the moment we rank higher than them for a lot of them.
So then, what was working in their case? How big is the business today? How big is the Wufoo business today?
Well, since they were acquired by 35 million, I would say they made over $1 or $2 million a month in revenue.
Okay. So that, when to generate $1 or $2 million a month from a business model that is $15 a month kind of price point, is a lot of users, a lot of paying users.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. So the first idea.
We need to study that one a bit more to understand what have they done and what have they done right and what can we learn from them. But keep going. I just wanted to understand how much of that have you done so far. But keep going.
Okay. So at this point, we've got 160 registered users that tried our service so far, and we grew by 100% each year to the $100,000 revenue. Those are real figures from our system. Next slide, please.
And are you profitable?
Absolutely. We've been profitable for 2 years or so, but keep in mind that expenses here in Romania are not that big. And we started as 2 persons, so me and Tudor, the other co-founder. We worked for multinational companies. We dropped out and decided to start a company. And just this year, Actually, 3 months ago, we hired 3 more people. So, okay.
But those are the advantages of working in emerging economies, that you have a huge cost advantage with which you can compete with, you know, U.S. or Western European companies.
Yes, I definitely agree, but there are also some minor disadvantages, like meeting related services and CEOs from MailChimp, for instance, to establish a bigger partnership, which I can't do it from Romania. I have to travel to US and go to conferences there. Okay?
Yep.
Advantages and disadvantages, of course. So our type of clients are small webmasters, the majority of them, because we are not that pricey, and they are those who pay the less. And freelance and design agencies that offer us as an added value to their projects. We even have a client with 2,000 forms made through our system. Small and medium-sized merchants that sell online, because our forms are extremely easy integrated with PayPal, Google Checkout, and Authorized.net, so you can accept payments through them. And basically, everyone who has a client is a potential client, because the product itself is kind of, I like to say, it's a Swiss Army knife for web forms, and you can build any type of web form and extremely usable. Next slide, please. Probably you were asking how did we get the clients. First, the search engine optimization, which was extremely cheap to do it, and we did it ourselves, and we have some tips and tricks. Our tens of thousands of forms helped. And we have the Facebook channel through our Facebook app, blogs and article websites where we published a lot, and both our tutorials and reviews. Actually, this happened more in the last period when we have a budget for marketing. We were very active on related forums. We even tried some AdWords, and we are trying right now with a $500 budget, and we tried banners and advertising in terms of pay-per-view and pay-per-click. Next slide, please. Okay. If you don't have any other questions. So I would really want to ask your opinion about that multi-language and multi-country approach I told you about. If you have any recommendations for us in that direction, even if you can point me to a partner that could help us in any country from Asia, which I don't have contact there at all. And of course, if you can help us with any partners like media resellers, anything you can guide us to.
Let's take them one by one. So I actually like the multi-language approach. I think the question that we have to address here is, if you do multi-language approach, you have to have a systematic way of reaching the European. I assume you're going to start with Europe, right?
Yes, of course. When we went to this big conference in Europe, we approached people from several countries.
So you need to somehow figure out a way to penetrate the European web developers. And we need to investigate where those people are hanging out, what may be methods through which to reach them, other than organic search. Like, so if you were looking at a form, French language form technology, those kinds of keywords would potentially yield the results to you, and if somebody is looking for that, you would be able to pick them up organically. But I would like to see if there are other ways of getting to those numbers. Like if you email marketing, I didn't see on your list, for instance. Your customer acquisition strategies does not include email marketing, and I would look into email marketing, very, very effective mechanism of customer acquisition. So I would try to find lists of web developers in Europe and reach out to them more proactively.
Okay, thank you.
That's my response to your multi-language question. As far as Asia is concerned, I think we have to look at two different phenomena. One is, what are web developers in Asia doing? How are they marketing themselves? Are they marketing themselves into the local market, or they are marketing themselves into the international market? Because there's a huge amount of web development work catered towards the American market and the European market happening out of Asia. And that happens through a lot of the exchanges, services exchanges like Odesk, Elance, and freelancer.com, Guru, and 99 Designs, and all sorts of different areas. So one way to go to market would be to do some sort of a partnership with those exchanges.
I understand.
That would be getting you to getting you into Asian developers who are catering to the international markets. On the Asian developers working within the, like Indian developers working within India, or Filipino developers working within Philippines. Again, email marketing may be one way to do it. You're going to have to get your hands on lists and then market to them directly. So there's a variety of different ways of doing it, and you have to prioritize which strategies you're going to follow and where you're going to go.
From what we thought so far is to give it a little bit of trial and error here in Europe first, because it's closer to us and we better understand the culture. And then based on our experience here, if for instance how should we choose someone to manage a country, a native there, to pay him lead base per revenue, or to pay him money without any revenue, or stuff like that?
Value-added resellers for those different geographies. There's many ways of doing this.
Okay, but as I said, we have to give it a try here, and I'm quite confident that by translating the whole product, the back end, the front end, everything, and putting translations into forms, we can acquire customers that are not only developers, small businesses that need feedback, and those can be reached through advertising in that local country.
The advertising I would be a little bit careful about, because advertising tends to be expensive, and you have quite a bit of money before it starts to yield. Now, in Asia, actually, online advertising is not that expensive. So that may be a strategy for Asia. But I would say use advertising very selectively only for geographies where advertising is sufficiently inexpensive. In the US, online advertising is quite expensive.
Yes, I completely agree with you.
So in terms of your partners, investors, and so forth, investors is a very long conversation, because I think we have to first figure out whether this deal is fundable, and that requires full market sizing analysis and a variety of different pieces that we need to put you through to access. This is an investor style company. And then, yeah, there's all sorts of work there. So if you can, before you can ask me questions on this topic after I've finished the next segment. I would like to take you through, all of you, through how we work with entrepreneurs in 1 million by 1 million. That will help you get a feel for how you may be able to use us. We do work with a lot of entrepreneurs who are spread across different parts of the world, and specifically to bridge the gap that you were pointing out earlier of partnerships and relationships in Silicon Valley and in the US and elsewhere as well, because we have a lot of relationships, and we basically connect those dots for you. So let me talk about the 1 million by 1 million resources, and then we can come back to your specific partnership needs, okay?
Okay.
So stand by for a second. Let me take you through.
Thanks. I'll mute my microphone now. Thank you very much for your feedback so far.
You're very welcome. Now, before we go on to the 1 million by 1 million segments, I have a request for you. The 1 million by 1 million agenda, if you read that, the mission statement again, we are trying to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in annual revenue and beyond by 2020. The only way that is going to happen is if we can find 1 million serious entrepreneurs. And it's very important. The serious entrepreneur factor is very important, because there are lots of entrepreneurs out there who are not really serious entrepreneurs. They are entrepreneurs if they can get financing. or they have limited tenacity to really do what it takes to build a successful company. That's not who we are looking for. We are looking for serious entrepreneurs who are compelled, internally compelled to build serious businesses. And that's the kind of entrepreneurs we need your help in identifying and bringing into the 1 million by 1 million program. So please, if you would look around and if you can think of entrepreneurs like that, please introduce them to the 1 million by 1 million program so that we can bring them into the fold and put our resources behind them. Okay, so the next piece of the next segment we're going to work on is specifically what can 1 million by 1 million do for you. There are free resources and then there are premium resources, and I'll take you through them step by step. The site where you want to start your exploration is 1m1m.sramanamitra.com. The first very basic level of resource is our blog, and that's at sramanamitra.com. That's right here. Now, if you are looking for case studies, trends, information, discussions, excellent interviews with thought leaders, really in-depth interviews with thought leaders who are talking about open problems, entrepreneurial opportunities, trends, everything, the blog is a great place. It's completely free, and it's a vibrant, interesting, very high-value media property for you to engage with and utilize for your learning. That's the whole purpose of it. There are two purposes to the blog. One is to inspire you, and the second is to educate you. And those are the two purposes that are driving all our content work. We don't really do that much news. You can find news many other places. We are really focused on inspiration and education. The next piece, which is slightly more synthesized, is the Entrepreneur Journeys book series, and that consists of case studies, both analysis and synthesis of ways in which entrepreneurs have been building their businesses. And in the last 6 years, I have sat down with over 500 entrepreneurs and thought leaders, and they have shared their experiences and their strategies and both their successes and their failures and what they've learned through those discussions, and that's all being brought to you through the Entrepreneur Journey series, the blog, as well as the 1 million by 1 million program. And it's a very rich, very deep resource. Actually, nothing like this exists anywhere in the world. So these books, the Entrepreneur Journeys Volume 1, the Volume 2 is Bootstrapping, Weapon of Mass Reconstruction, Volume 3 is Positioning, How to Test, Validate, and Bring Your Idea to Market, and Volume 4 is Innovation Need of the Hour. All 4 books are available internationally on Amazon and Kindle ebooks, and Amazon for physical books. And in India, you can also order them through Flipkart because there's a currency issue in India. You can actually buy the books in rupees, and Flipkart will get it for you from Amazon. Now, bootstrapping and positioning are 2 cornerstone philosophies of the 1 million by 1 million program. We do not believe that you can really navigate the early stages of entrepreneurship without very deep understanding of bootstrapping and positioning. Okay, there are free 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtables like the one you're experiencing today. We have done over 100 roundtables. This is our 108th roundtable. Over 8,000 people have attended. I have personally coached over 500 entrepreneurs. It happens every Thursday, except we're going to have one more this month, and then we'll take 1 week off, and then we're back in January every Thursday. So you are very welcome to use these strategy roundtables to get feedback, the kind of feedback I am just giving Florin. And it is completely free. So 1, take advantage of this program. 2, introduce the program to other fellow entrepreneurs who can utilize the benefits of this program. Now, the next piece is our premium program, and we charge a $1,000 annual membership fee for unlimited access to a portfolio of products and services. One of them is our extensive methodology guidance through a very comprehensive curriculum. And it basically, you can even think of it as an MBA curriculum with extensive case studies and analysis, synthesis, video lectures. In addition to the curriculum, we have private versions of these kinds of roundtables. It's basically strategy consulting. You know, you could call it strategy consulting, you could call it coaching, you could call it mentoring, whatever, but it is basically these kinds of one-on-one discussions about your business using the background of the curriculum so that you can then delve into deeper topics in these kinds of private forums. These are members-only discussions. Then we do a lot of business development. We introduce entrepreneurs, the 1 million by 1 million entrepreneurs, to customers, to channel partners, whoever can help them further their business. Wherever we have relationships, we connect those dots. We also help you with financing. We have a very extensive financing network, and we definitely introduce you to those investors when you're ready. Not all ventures are financeable. You have to gauge fundability, and we give you the tools to do that. And then you have to do the homework to get to a point where you have a chance at getting financed, and that's all that we shepherd you through, and when you're ready, we will introduce you to investors. Now, this is the 1 million by 1 million self-assessment. You can access that through the navigation bar to the right corner, to the right panel, and it consists of a 9-point questionnaire. And if you're a premium member, you can also access the curriculum modules that go with each of those questions, because there are specific methodology guidance around each of those topics. If you look at the top right corner of the 1M1M site, you will see two buttons, Premium Program and FAQ. If you're considering joining the program, I would like to suggest that you take a look at these two pages of what to expect from the Premium Program page and the FAQ page to get further details and get some of your questions answered. Our methodology is lean, capital-efficient, bootstrap startups. We really do not like to see entrepreneurs who come and immediately say, oh, we need to raise $5 million and I haven't done anything, I just have a PowerPoint presentation. That is not going to fly. It doesn't fly in the real world, and we don't pretend to give you any false expectations that's going to fly within 1 million by 1 million. So you need to be prepared to be lean, capital efficient, and do substantial amount of bootstrapping. Now, the curriculum has two parts. We have a core curriculum, and then we have a set of electives. The core curriculum consists of 7 sections, and those are bootstrapping, positioning, market sizing, customer validation, financing, customer acquisition, and team building. The electives align with the trends of our industry today and what looks like are going to be the trends for this next decade. Web 3.0 and e-commerce is a very big trend. By 2020, by 2020, there are going to be 5 billion plus people on the internet. So it's a huge commercial opportunity. And so we are very into web businesses. We are very good at those. We understand those in very great detail. And cloud computing and business solutions is also something that we understand in very great detail, and we have very dedicated, comprehensive modules on those. Outsourcing and consulting continues to be an interesting trend. Mobile and social apps, healthcare IT, online education, gaming, these are all interesting trends and opportunities for this decade, and we are going to cover every single one of them in great depth. So the case studies that we offer, we have, as I said, we have over 500 case studies of successful entrepreneurs, and we have video lectures that synthesize those case studies as part of the curriculum. You should think about the 1 million by 1 million curriculum as being taught by these, 500-600 entrepreneurs and not just me. I facilitate the process. I have brought all these people onto the platform. I have captured their ideas. I have synthesized all this in video lectures, but really they have taken the time to share their strategies with me and as a result with you. So you should think about having 500-600 really experienced teachers as opposed to just Sramana Mitra teaching you this curriculum. As I said, we do a lot of business development work. This is an announcement of a business development deal that we did for two of our companies. We do a lot of media coverage. I have extensive syndicated columns that get published in multiple different publications, very high traffic publications, and our entrepreneurs get exposure through those kinds of media properties. This is a piece that I wrote about one of our companies called Orenscape on Read Write Web, and they got great exposure through that. This is a comment from an entrepreneur who came and presented at these forums and wrote me a message on my Facebook page saying, Sramana, I wish this was available I think it was 3 years ago when I raised a bunch of angel financing, and now I've run through all the angel financing and I did things in the wrong order. If I had worked with 1 million by 1 million, I would have used that money better. So the moral of that story is, please make sure that whatever scarce resources that you have available to you, you use that well. And we do our best to help you use that well. Very recently, we had a new 1 million by 1 million member, probably about a month or 6 weeks ago. She joined, and she, in her first roundtable discussion, she came and said, oh, I have this $15,000 prototype development starting, and I wanted to run by some ideas by you. I said, okay. And I listened to her ideas, and I basically came to the conclusion that that $15,000 investment that she was going to make in a prototype development is going to be equivalent to taking that money and flushing it down the toilet, because her understanding of her business was very, very rudimentary. And with that kind of rudimentary understanding of your business, you cannot design a product that customers are going to resonate with. She had not followed the process of getting to a proper spec for a prototype, and as a result, I asked her to cancel that development project, and she did. So right away, she joined the program. She saved $15,000. That would have been a wastage, and now she's come to a completely different strategy, actually. And she hasn't spent a penny yet on any kind of product development. So, we really believe that all entrepreneurs need to save their scarce resources and apply them to very strategic, very important agendas. So we are very committed to trying to help you save your money and not do haphazard, helter-skelter things. Now, right at the beginning of the session with Florin, the segment with Florin, I told you that we work with incubators. And Microsoft, in fact, brought us into the Microsoft Innovation Network of incubators, and an incubator in Romania, that is a Microsoft Innovation Center, is how Florin found out about 1 million by 1 million. So the point is that if you are in a geography, in a community where there is a good incubator, or there are incubators that are looking for good support, we are here. We work with lots of incubators. We partner very well. We will never be a physical incubator. We will always be a virtual program, so we can partner with lots of physical incubators, and it's no problem at all. So if you want to introduce incubators into the program, we'll be very happy to work with them. We have a very crisp affiliate program where we pay 10% affiliate commission to all our partners, and a lot of affiliates are working on bringing entrepreneurs from their communities into the program. And here are our upcoming free roundtables. There's one more this year, and then all of January we are here on Thursday mornings, so please make sure you reserve your slots if you want to come discuss your business with me. And then there is a final thing that I want to talk to you about, which is the Vision India 2020 book. Those of you who are interested in India, whether you're from India or want to do business in India, leveraging India's strategic advantages, this is a book with $45 billion business ideas. It is written as a business fiction set in 2020, and it's a futuristic retrospective. So essentially, we are sitting in 2020, looking back on building these $45 billion companies. So I've mapped out a lot of the strategic details of these businesses. And you're very welcome to take any of these ideas and implement them, because I am working on 1 million by 1 million. All the other ideas need entrepreneurs to drive them, and we have a module in the curriculum of 1 million by 1 million on Vision India 2020 to help you focus on whichever idea you choose to work on. So that's all in terms of 1 million by 1 million related information. Why don't I open up my public chat, and you guys are very welcome to ask further questions, and we actually have some time to do Q&A today. Please go ahead. No questions?
I've got a question, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, Soren.
When joining this program and paying the annual fee, will this grant us, I mean, the grant is too harsh of a word, do we get any exposure, if of course we are worth for it, to any of your columns?
Absolutely. Very much so. Very much so.
Okay.
And there are very clear information. As you come into the program, you will be given very clear information on what those processes are, what those methods are. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely think about it next year.
Yeah.
Thanks again for your feedback.
Sure. Any other questions, folks? Any other questions, comments, clarifications? Now, any of you who want to have a one-on-one conversation to discuss your situation and how 1 million by 1 million applies to you, feel free to call Irina Patterson. Her phone number is 786-301-2456. You can also connect with her on Skype, and Irina will be happy to discuss your situation and how to work with 1 million by 1 million with you. Sudhi says he's going to decide soon. That's great. Anybody else? Any other questions, comments? All right. Looks like we are done for today. We will see you next week. The next presentation opportunity is next Thursday, Udi. You can sign up at the 1m1m.sramanamitra.com site for the free public roundtable. December 22nd is the next opportunity, and then all through January there are slots for presentations. You're very welcome, Sandy, Sudhi. Your comments are nice. Thank you very much. There you go. Maureen is giving you the URL through which you can register to pitch and discuss your business with me. Sudhi is asking, will you be able to help us with marketing and user experiences too? Oh, we do a tremendous amount of marketing work. Strategic marketing is customer acquisition strategies, go-to-market strategies is one of our greatest sweet spots. Absolutely. You will see once you go through through what we are going to take you through in terms of customer acquisition strategy and go-to-market strategy, you will have a completely different idea about how to leverage whatever resources you have and where to focus and so forth. Everybody lacks marketing strategy. At the early stages of venture building, almost every entrepreneur lacks marketing strategy and marketing experience. So this is one of the observations I had. I did 10 years of strategy consulting up and down the value chain of Silicon Valley, all the way from zero-stage companies to $45 billion companies. And marketing strategy has been a resounding problem in every step of the way, which is where I made most of the money that I made in consulting. So please utilize what we offer in terms of marketing and go-to-market strategy in general. It's one of our big strengths, actually. All right. Any other questions, comments? Yeah, always. Marketing is the weakest point for entrepreneurs. And by the way, when you think about marketing, don't only think about marketing from the customer acquisition point of view. You also have to think about marketing from a product positioning point of view, because if you don't position the product right, everything else is going to be wrong from there on. Your product definition is going to be wrong. Your go-to-market strategy is going to be wrong. Everything is going to kind of fall apart if you don't do the positioning right. Positioning is something that we put enormous emphasis on. And if you do your positioning right, the rest of it it's like a puzzle that starts falling into place. Okay, folks, for today, goodbye, and I will see you, some of you who are the premium members, I will see you at the private roundtable on Wednesday, and everybody else will see you at the public roundtable on Thursday. Bye, guys.